a landslide territory.
This is a potentially realigning election. I mean, you're talking registration and turnout. I think it's 250,000 more registered in Florida since January, 65,000 more since September in Virginia. And it could be a potentially realigning election if you get some of these young people to vote in higher than usual numbers. And the impact also on the congressional races, I think, will be very interesting to watch, because a progressive president, and the hope is from below, change from below, will require a Congress working with him to enact a new framework for recovery and have a mandate. In Kentucky, Georgia, and North Carolina, the economic crisis is leaving incumbents teetering on the edge, and that's pretty stunning. Kentucky, my husband's from Kentucky. This is not a traditional blue state. Mitch McConnell.
I get scared to death of how far ahead of ourselves we're going to get, even though you see all this evidence out there. So let me try to bring it back a little bit, Jerry. This is all true, and there's so many headwinds facing John McCain right now. Yet, Barack Obama has had a hard time up until the last week or so cracking 50%, and we still do have the issue of race, and we still have 30 days to go in 2 debates.
And an election cycle in which it's turned and turned and turned again. I think a little humility is probably called for in any projection you're going to make. I mean, the Obama people will tell you they think the polls will tighten again before this is over. And if you look at it, if you just landed from Mars and you looked at this, Peter Hart, our pollster at the Wall Street Journal, says, if you look at this on paper, this should have been over. This should have been over long ago.
It should be a 10, 12-point race.
Right, but it's not. So that tells you something. It's a very uncertain electorate.
And Peter does something else. He says that the one thing we're not sure of this year is that there could be 3 different kinds of undercounts in the polls. It may be undercounting the number of young people who are going to vote. It may be undercounting the African-American turnout. We know that 95, 96% of African-Americans will vote for Obama, and it may not be capturing those white voters who just won't vote for Barack Obama because he's black.
Right, and you raised an interesting question. How many of those young voters will show up? I mean, in 2004, I think it was a 49% turnout among voters aged 18 to 29. That compares to like a 75% turnout among senior citizens. So is it going to be 49%? Or 70% among young voters? That's a huge difference for Barack Obama.
Our electoral system isn't ready for the turnout I think we're going to see. No, I'm serious. I mean, we already seen a lot of challenges in Ohio. No, not enough ballots, not enough poll workers trained, and you're going to have not enough machines. We've seen this in Ohio, and I think the Republicans, who are the party of wishing fewer people would vote, are already mounting challenges in Montana and Ohio. Sherrod Brown State has a great new Secretary of State and is going to try and not do what Kenneth Blackwell did in Ohio in 2004.
Show that the government that you want to enlarge the power of is taken by surprise yet again by Election Day.
No, there are election protection workers
but,
out there.
This will matter, of course, only if it's a very close race. And, both sides are planning for the possibility of a 269. Karen, I was stunned.
By Election Day, by the way, it's worth pointing out, people are already voting. So by Election Day, something 30% will have voted before the election.
Governor Sarah Palin this afternoon is campaigning in Omaha, Nebraska. That is an amazing fact.
It is.
Let's tell our viewers why. Because Nebraska is one of 2 states, Maine is the other, that allocates electoral votes by the winner of congressional district,
and
they think he can carry the Omaha congressional
which would break the 269 tie. They're playing defense across the board.
Exactly. It is extraordinary that this late this is what they're doing, and that in fact you are talking about splitting Maine and Nebraska, and that may actually matter, or that it could all come down to New Hampshire.
And one of the things the McCain campaign said when I think it's unlikely, but when they pulled out of Michigan, is that they were going to put more resources into Maine to try to steal a congressional district in Maine as well. But George, let's look at, there are 30 days, 2 debates to go. Put yourself in the McCain camp. How could he turn this around? What should he do? And is the tack that Governor Palin took yesterday the right one?
No. The tack she took yesterday is saying, not Barack Obama has bad ideas that would be bad for the country, but Barack Obama is a bad person. And I don't think people want to do that. I mean, we don't elect angry presidents. And John McCain looks very angry at the moment. I think his closing argument has to be this, is to turn to the American people, throw his congressional party overboard and say, look, the American people show in election after election, for very good reasons, they want divided government. There's only one way you can get that, and that's by electing me to be a check on huge Democratic majorities in the House and the Senate.
But
that's the odd Jerry side. What it looks like the is on this is, and I'm surprised at how openly the McCain campaign is signaling this, but they're signaling we're going to turn this into a race about a liberal who you can't trust because he's got unsavory friends.
Yeah, I sense a very ugly week coming up here. I mean, you've got the McCain campaign signaling that, the Obama campaign already striking back with this is a sign of an erratic candidate. It's
And
not
likely to bring up
uplifting.
Keating 5 if
If
this
necessary.
happens,
But
yeah.
I mean, here's an interesting question, though. If the debate this week is in a town hall format, that is not a format that lends itself to this kind of byplay. That's the one where you're supposed to be civilized and talk to the voters in their
and the
terms.
other problem there is if you launch an attack and it gets fierce in a town hall debate, and I've prepared for these many, many times, you risk having one of the next questioners call you out on it rather than the moderator, which is a huge risk.
Then
Well,
you've
you
lost
had a
control.
tough, you had a tough debate, George, during the primaries. When
There's
you
no
were-
town hall there, though.
I know, but I think what we're going to see in these next 30 so days is a politics of demonization. I mean, the campaign manager for McCain said a few weeks ago, this campaign is not about issues. Well, it is about issues now.
But how
And
is that-
they want to make it a referendum on Obama,
But how
not
is
on
that different
economic
from how
issues.
the McCain campaign has been running, the campaign for the last 60 days. So,
Well, they've tried to do the politics of biography, and that isn't working very well at this
but
point.
they've been very aggressive attacking Obama. I mean, starting with the Paris Hilton ad. So at this point, to sort of say that we're suddenly going to get, you know, personal and aggressive and negative, I think voters have already been hearing that, and I think voters have probably already like the markets, they're already discounting that.
But you know, 30 days, as you said, is a long time. I wonder if in the end, the experience and commander-in-chief terms aren't going to come back into play at the end for the McCain people. You know, they've moved away from the experience argument. They've tried to make and will continue to try to make the commander-in-chief argument. In the final days before people walk into a polling booth and actually pull the lever, those are arguments that may work better than they do now.
But
And one of the-
ironically, I mean, Biden and Obama are now viewed as the ticket of more predictability and safety. And I think this past week, not just the crisis, but the way John
That
McCain
was a
handled
really,
it.
in our ABC News Washington Post poll, for the first time, the number of Americans, George Will, who saw Barack Obama as a safe pick crossed the number he saw McCain as a safe pick. That is very surprising in these final days.
Well, his nickname in his campaign is No Drama Obama. And that is, he wanted, partly because an African American running for president, if he gets half as angry as John McCain is a militant, and that's not a good adjective. But he does seem to have perfected the art of looking presidential by contrast, in a way, with John McCain at this point.
And they felt all along that if they could reassure the public, that would be their key to victory. We'll see in the next 30 days. George Will, Karen Tumulty, Jerry Seid, Katrina Vanden
you.
Heuvel, thank you all very much. They're going to continue this.